When was the last time that you played? When you set aside all expectations for performance or otherwise worried about what others might think and just did something for the fun of it? Or are you one of those types who feels that nagging need to turn every fun activity or hobby into a business? If so, then you may understand just how difficult it can be to strike a balance between doing something for fun, figuring out how to make money from that thing, and existing in the communities that surround your interests. Perhaps no one knows these struggles better than Yaya Han, world-renowned cosplayer, designer, author, and entrepreneur. I had the opportunity to sit down with Yaya Han and to discuss the power and price of community. We discuss some of the challenges the cosplay community is facing. Yaya shares what it is like to be such a recognizable figure in that world, and she also gets into her hopes and dreams for the future of cosplay. I hope that you find our conversation as enlightening, inspiring, and necessary as I did. Thank you so much for joining me today. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Hi, thanks so much for having me, David. I'm Yaya Han, and I'm a costume designer, cosplayer, and author. My claim to fame, the thing that I do is cosplay. I've been doing it for over 25 years, first as a fan and for the last 20 years as a professional. I get hired by events and by companies to use cosplay as a marketing tool. I will go and teach workshops and judge contests at events around the world, or a gaming company would hire me to make a costume to promote their IP. I also, in the last 10 years, have been designing a lot of cosplay materials and tools for mass retail. So I'm also, I guess, a product designer and product developer. So my whole life revolves around cosplay.
Yeah, I'd like to actually start with a broad question just to kick us off here. I'm really curious, what does community mean to you at this stage of your career?
Community is everything. It's like the reason that I still do what I do. I think cosplay is such a visual medium, and it's so tied to fandom and to creativity and DIY, and all of those things can only exist in a community. I got into cosplay in 99. What lit a fire in me was the prospect of going to a convention. It was like, oh, this anime club I was a part of out in Arizona, of all places, was making this pilgrimage to Anime Expo and literally renting a tour bus, and the whole club would pool the money together to rent this bus and go out there. And
So this is like with your group of friends at this time, and
yeah, it was the first time that I ever had a group of friends do something so organized and huge. And of course, it was such a destination event that I wanted to do something for it. And that's when I found out that you could dress up as the characters at the event. If I had not had the opportunity to go to a convention when I found out what cosplay was, I'm not sure I would have been so hooked immediately, but it was the fact of going into a physical space with other people wearing a costume that other people might recognize, or a chance to dress up and transform into a character in a public space. That's what really excited me. You can't do this thing in a vacuum by yourself. You really need to be able to connect with other people with it. Community is what drives me and motivates me to learn new skills and hone my skills and make new costumes, especially with product development. I have to be in tune with the community and be very much immersed in it in order to figure out what cosplayers want and need before I design the next fabric collection or the next sewing machine. It's really everything to me.
do you feel like that sense that you're talking about of community, do you feel like that has changed or evolved over the years?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think with social media and the internet, everything has evolved. Whereas before, cosplay and sort of the fandom community was more in person. I had to gather at conventions to meet other people. Now there's people everywhere that can connect on the internet. It's all still great, but it also has complications with it that I'm sure we're going to delve into.
So you shared that the cosplay community often feels like It will always have your back, but
Mhm.
also that one misstep could turn things around quickly. How do you balance that duality in your life?
I think that's a byproduct of devoting my life to one thing. My name and my persona is sort of synonymous with cosplay. Most people that know cosplay will sooner or later know about me, or many people discovered cosplay through me. So I have a lot of influence in the cosplay community that goes beyond like social media numbers. And so people look at me very closely and look at my actions, and that's a good and a bad thing. I feel like I'm very secure in the fact that I have a lot of supporters in cosplay, and it continues to help me in my work, and especially convincing multi-million dollar companies to work with me. That really helps um, to have that legitimacy, and or if there's an initiative, I can count on the community to support me. But at the same time, I think if I make a mistake or I don't do exactly what the community expects me to do, they're pretty hard on me. I've certainly experienced being canceled for various things throughout my time in this community. And I think it is very hard, and it does make me think about how I present myself, or what kind of actions that I take. But I think it's so important to always like think about your own well-being and mental health. Like I'll just give the example as like in 2020, I of course was really politically active. I posted about politics and really like any causes, like any of the anti-Asian, of course, like George Floyd and Black Lives Matter. I posted a lot about all that. And then it took really a toll on my mental health to constantly have the blowback and just being afraid to even open my social media platforms in certain days where I just like, I don't want to know what is going to be waiting for me. And so I sort of made a conscious agreement with myself that I would not be as politically outspoken for my own well-being and for my own mental health. I think that certainly some people might say, but yeah, you have such a large platform, you should do more and such. And I'm just like, I will do it if I feel strong enough. If my mindset is well enough and I have the mental capacity to say something and to handle what the consequences are, then I will speak up. But the rest of the time, I sort of allow myself to have more self-care for myself. So it's like I may feel strongly about certain subjects, but I may not post about them actively because I'm too embroiled in what am I going to do? Joanne has closed. What am I going to do with my livelihood?
Right, right. I've got I've got stuff to figure out here before,
Yeah,
right.
I gotta survive first.
This is so similar in some ways to, as a psychologist, what I deal with. There's always that part of me awake, as I think it should be. It's sort of like a corrective force that it's like, if this person is not just upset, but like you give them rope to hang you with, this could be really disastrous.
Mhm.
And part of how I also deal with the other end of that pressure is I try to remind myself what really matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you
Yeah,
speak
so
to that?
my husband Brian, he is my Jiminy Cricket. He's the one that talks me off a ledge, and he literally will point out what matters. He's like, your health matters, we're independent, we are together, we love each other. Like he literally will list them. And sometimes I would be in this mood because I got into an online fight with someone, and I'm just like, I'm just not in a good mood. I just want to like vent to you. And he's such an eternal optimist that he will literally just be like, yeah, but think about what really matters. So I'm very lucky that I have someone like him in such a close vicinity that can remind me of the important things. The good always outweighs the bad when it comes to my work and my lifestyle and everything that I love. Certainly, it's really important to check in periodically, especially when you have a bad day, to sort of like allow yourself to step away from the thing and then to just remind yourself, like, why am I doing this?
And now
What
you just revealed where the name of the channel came from.
did I?
The check-in part, check-ins with Dr. Charles, right? Like, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. It really is. And like all parts of your life, I'm like, I sometimes think about like, man, we live such long lifespans. Like, of course, life is always too short, but also if you think about how long humans live, and there's like all the things that you have to take in and you have to process. And as long as you're alive, you have to figure out how do you survive through the next month? How do you have stability to clothe yourself and put a roof over your head and such? And I'm just like, sometimes it's just like, it becomes so overwhelming, but you just have to constantly check in on huge things as well as tiny things.
I work with a lot of ADHD autistic folks, and there are some instances where they get really affectionate and attached to certain IPs and certain worlds. And
Hmm.
I'm really curious how you've handled that when you've encountered whatever problems
Hmm.
can come from that.
Uh, yeah, so I feel like I explored this a little bit in my book. There are lots of cosplayers that strive for ultimate accuracy when they portray a character beyond just how the costume is constructed and made, but also how they look. So once you get into the accuracy game, then you have all these problems because cosplay inherently is a form of self-expression. And
Right.
that's what most people in fandom don't understand. They see so many quality costumes and quality content and cosplayers that do look just like the characters that they think this is a form of entertainment. The ultimate goal should be to be as close to the cartoon or the video game character as possible.
Yeah.
But that's actually not what cosplay is about. It is the way you express that you love something. So it's like it's a fan expression, and each person should have the freedom to connect with a character through cosplay in their own way, which means that even when they're not the same ethnicity
Right.
or gender or skin tone or body type as the character, they should always have the right to still portray the character because it's their way of showing I love this character and I want to be them for a day. I try to always explain that to people that, what you get out of cosplay is not that you're impressing all these people by how much you look like a character. What you get out of it is you find things about yourself through portraying a character. Like you find confidence, you find strength, and you sort of can work through some insecurities by portraying a character that's larger than life, that is stronger than you, that is, something, from another world. I think once you understand that psychology and that, it's an activity that should be enjoyed by everyone, then you can look at their costume and see, oh, this is how this person sees themselves as Wonder Woman. So it's like each person is their own version of Wonder Woman. They're not the Wonder Woman that I grew up with, but they still have as much fun being that character.
Yeah.
I just wish people would have that tolerance more and, and sort of like not criticize people that don't look canon to the characters. That is where you get so many issues with black cosplayers, brown cosplayers. Myself, I've experienced people criticizing me for being Asian when I'm portraying non-Asian characters. And it's just like, so what? What does it matter?
I think people forget, hey, there's a human underneath
The
this
human.
person playing this character. Like you're not talking to the actual character. And while that
Mhm.
might sound silly in some ways, like what you're talking about is so real. I've seen this, I've experienced these kinds of things. And I agree with you. And I think one of the phrases I use pretty often is, work on being the person you would like to encounter in that situation.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's why in person, it's also much less likely that you'll encounter people that will tell you to your face, hey, your costume is not exactly how this character, like nobody tells you that in person. It's like those types of comments will only pop up online. So
Yep.
it's the other reason why I'm like, you should do events because it evens the playing field. It doesn't matter how many followers you have or how much experience you have cosplaying. Everyone is together in the same space.
I want to throw a quote out to you and get your reaction. I think it was Orson Welles that once said, the enemy of art is the absence of limitations.
Mhm, 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 mhm,
So,
mhm. Very good.
do you think it's possible that cosplay gained some of its magic at all from being hard to access before it became so available?
Yes, so I think the magic of early cosplay was more freedom. Because and less scrutiny, I will say. Less pressure, less scrutiny, more freedom because there was not that pressure on you. Like, you didn't have the potential of a million eyeballs on whatever it is that you did. So it's like everybody sort of just had fun with it and didn't feel the pressure of time and even
Yeah.
the pressure of quality. I do feel like I had time to develop as a cosplayer and as an artist. Whereas now there are limitations because everything, moves faster and you have to chase the hype train. I mean, just K-pop Demon Hunters this summer, it was just like within how many days? Like 2 days, there were people with costumes. I was like, whoa. So,
Yeah.
now, yeah, I think cosplay is still very magical. And I think it was really, really great that it's become so accessible for people. But I don't know if I would have gotten into it as deep if I had started 15 years later. I think I do. So, like, I've definitely contributed to the commercialization of cosplay, and I have like this, I'm like conflicted often where I'm like, I helped make it into what it is now. So all the problems that are happening with it, I contributed to it. But then at the same time, it's also so nice to see like families, multiple generations cosplaying together because parents are no longer thinking as cosplay as like a weird fetish thing and being cautious about their kids
Yes.
joining in. Now they're like full on supportive and like I meet young cosplayers all the time saying like, not just teens, but just like young adults and they're at the convention with their parents and their parents are their handlers and their parents are doing the content for them. And the parents are like, ask Yaya, like, how can you become a professional like her? And so like they're so supportive now. So it's like it has so many positive developments now.
I kind of want to just get your take on how do you think AI is affecting the communal aspect of cosplay?
I think as just like creatives, cosplay is an art form, just like digital art and drawing. And so we all, I think, are inherently really jarred by the development of AI and against it, I would say, as a whole. And yeah, I've even heard of incidences of AI cosplay, like where people are just generating outfits on themselves. Honestly, it does not affect me nearly as much because, in my opinion, nothing can replace what we do as cosplayers. It's like you can't wear an AI costume at an event, and I still fully associate cosplay with in-person
Yeah.
activities. Like to this day, as much as I also love doing photo shoots and videos and, capturing my costume on screen, it still is like that's not the driving factor for why I've been cosplaying for 26 years. Like it's still always going to be to go to a physical location and connect with people. So as much as I know that people can generate entire backgrounds and whatever in Photoshop, it doesn't really have anything to do with me. I see it as a different category of art that people choose to do, or if you can call it art. I'm way more chill about it. I'm not as outraged by it as other people. I think it's like really easy now to do a hot take in cosplay and jump on the new topic and make content to garner
Yeah.
engagement that's gonna like then give you money because everybody is monetizing their content. For me, I'm way more just like I'm in my craft room, I'm working on my next costume, and I'm thinking about how the products that I make will inspire other people to physically make their costumes.
I feel like a good likelihood, especially when it comes to communal spaces, is that if anything, this will push people off the internet and actually get them out and just doing a little bit more in person. If the internet is going to become flooded with generated content and we're lowering the bar, if anything, just having these opportunities to meet up in person, I can't see how that won't become more valued.
Oh yeah, I mean throughout the pandemic when we didn't have events, I think that's when all the content was online and became way more bound by social media and it was like not nearly as fun. And so I always advocate for people to go to events and to enjoy their creativity in person instead of just using the internet as a platform. I think that's very like human of us to like we need that connection. I need that connection with people. Like I could very well just have my online platform and monetize all my content that way, but I actually put a lot of effort into traveling the world, go to different events and meeting people, like because I need to look people in the eye while having a conversation with them. And I need
Yeah.
to have, know how they found cosplay through me, how I tie into their cosplay story. Like that's what gives me energy and motivation and makes me want to continue doing that. Like I can't do what I do just through a screen forever.
Yeah. Well, I think some of the legitimate concerns are like whether or not people will appreciate people actually going to photo shoots or coming up with something that wasn't AI generated or assisted. And I think some of the anxiety is like, will people as a market continue to support?
I mean, that's the thing is like I want people to not approach cosplay by doing what the market wants them to do. Like, yeah, I know that people are not as into photos now as they were 15 years ago. I know everything is about short form video and lip sync and dance in costumes and transitions, like transformation and whatever.
Right.
But I don't like that type of content as much as doing photo shoots. So I'm still going to continue doing photo shoots despite the fact that maybe it's not the most popular form of sharing how you cosplay. And I want other people to still do the thing that they like versus changing what kind of content they make just to match the trends. Because it's like in the end, you're spending hundreds of hours doing this. Like it has to be from a point of enjoyment and something you do for yourself. Otherwise, you will burn out sooner or later and you're not going to want to do it anymore. Guess how I know that?
How, Yaya? How do you know that?
Yeah, like 25 plus years of doing one thing. Obviously, I've tried all kinds of things and I'm very secure now in what I like and what I don't like. So it's
Yeah.
like I'm not going to do what I don't like just because that's what people want to see.
In your book, you talked about like you found escape in reading and drawing
Hmm.
and then eventually cosplay. My question is like, do you think there's just something about that that's just like a universal, timeless way that people cope?
I think escapism is important, but it's also a double-edged sword because you can become disillusioned about
Mhm.
reality if you only escape into what's comfortable and fun. I sort of viewed it as it was certainly an escapism because life was hard, but it also like I always thought about how I could benefit from it or how could I use it to enrich my life and to make it be a part of my life, like have more reasons for it to be a part of my life, say
Mhm.
income, say honing a skill, bettering a skill, finding a a calling. So it's not so much escapism, it's more like it helped me find my calling. And I think in the end, that's all we want. We all, as humans, we all
Oh,
want to find the thing that fulfills us. I feel like escapism is where you feel comfortable, you feel safe, you enjoy yourself, you can be your most authentic you.
yeah.
So if you use escapism as a way to find the thing that makes you the most happy, then how can you have that be a part of your life more and have it enrich your life versus destroy your life? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
depending on what that escapism is.
Balance is everything, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
Do you have any things that you like to go back to that you still have to be kind of careful with, not like getting too sort of sucked in by?
Video games, that's a good example. I have to be careful how much video games I play because when I play video games, I get really sucked in and it's like I can't do anything else. Like I can listen to podcasts and music. I can even listen to, like watch movies and even anime to an extent and still craft. But video games, it requires all my senses. And so, yeah, I have to like not let it cut into my work too much.
What do you think the future has in store for cosplay?
Hmm. Um, I think of many things in cosplay and probably in life also, but specifically in cosplay, because that's what I know. It's sort of like there's like pendulum swings. So right now we're sort of in this post-pandemic pendulum swing where everything is going towards pre-made because finally the market is big enough that these companies are, oh, we should make all these items and costumes and wigs and stuff for cosplayers. So everything is swinging towards ready-made. And a lot of people feel like maybe the handcrafted aspect of cosplay is dying out because why should you spend so much money and months working on a costume when you can just buy it? And I think that in the future, the pendulum will swing the other way, where everybody is going to walk around and pose the same costumes. And they're all going to look very similar because they're all going to try to do the makeup just like the character and the wig just like the character. And everybody will just kind of look the same. And that we will see more of a interest in designing original costumes or to make your own version of a costume and a character where you make the add more details or choose materials and fabrics that have more texture and designs. So I'm thinking the pendulum will swing the other way. So I just want people to not give up on the crafting aspect of cosplay. And
Mhm.
I believe the future of cosplay will always go hand in hand with creativity in one way or the other. So just continue making. Like, sure, you can buy your costumes, but make something on it, and enjoy that aspect of it. And I certainly hope that there will be more conventions and photo events and opportunities for people to meet in costume in person.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing so generously. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us today.
Yeah, it's been super fun. Thanks so much for inviting me on and for reading my book and being so well prepared and for a stimulating conversation.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. You are such an angel, truly. I appreciate you. And is there anything that you want to say to cosplayers, fans, or creators out there who are navigating their own balance between community and mental health?
Well, just like I think the last thing is like we've talked about so many things, and so the last thing I'll say is just be patient. It's like I know it is feels like so much pressure to do everything so fast and so good immediately, but take it from somebody who's been doing it for more than quarter of a century. I, it's like you can have patience. You can enjoy each project and each costume. Um, and see it as time that you spend with that character and connect with that character. So just be patient. Whatever your dreams are, they will happen as long as you stay authentic to yourself and continue to do things for yourself.